Missing the party. Come on.
Greetings, tribe, and welcome to Snackin with Ortega. I'm your host of extraordinary magnitude, Ortega LaTrobe, and today we're bringing you meatloaf. Version 1, standard. That's right, folks, another down-home classic. Today we're doing that meatloaf. Now, there's a bunch of different ways you can do it. Remember way back, I did the stovetop stuffing style meatloaf, but today we're just going to do what I could call the standard. Now, there are a bunch of different ways you can put together a meatloaf. You've got different meat options, different veggies to mix up in there, different herbs and seasonings, different ways to glaze it. It is a truly versatile dish. That being said, today we're going back to the classic. We're doing the standard, we're doing it simple, and here's what you need. Ground beef, ground pork, good old breadcrumbs, a good egg, garlic, some finely minced onion, and bell pepper. I implore you, do not use green peppers. Thanks. A little worcestershire. For spices, salt, pepper, parsley, Italian seasoning, and just to kick up that herbiness a little bit, I'm gonna throw in some extra oregano. Got our oven preheating to 350. While we're waiting on that, we're gonna saute up our onions and our peppers. Gonna let these peppers and onions saute for about a minute or two just to soften up. Then we're gonna add our garlic. You don't want to add the garlic too soon because then it'll burn and then it gets bitter and it ruins your shit. Garlic time. Stir that in just till it gets fragrant. 30 seconds, maybe a minute tops. Take her off the heat. Gonna set those veggies off to the side for about 5-10 minutes just so they cool down, and we'll put together our meatloaf mix. Take your mixing bowl, add your pork, add your beef, a couple splashes of Worcestershire, egg, breadcrumbs, seasonings and spices, and our onions, peppers, and garlic. Now, you can use a spoon or a fork or some tongs or whatever you want to use to stir this up and mix together. Personally, I prefer to use my hands. One thing I learned working at the mill and making meatballs is a lot of times with something like this, you can tell when it's ready just by feel. And I like to feel my meatloaf mixture to know that it's all ready and everything is pushed together and all the players are in play and they're all doing their part and they're all knowing their role and shutting their mouths. You know what I'm talking about, right? Remember The Rock? Dwayne. Also, you don't want to overmix it because then it'll get really tight and just gets fucking weird. You just gotta, feel it, man. You gotta feel it. It's a feeling good right about now. Loaf pan. I'm using this smaller individual size myself, because I'm also doing like a half batch of normal for meatloaf because it's just for me and this will still last me a couple days. So I'm gonna spray the inside of the loaf pan with a little oil so it doesn't stick. Take our meat mix into the loaf pan, work it in until it's a nice loaf. The meat has been loafed. Now it's time to glaze it. We went ahead and put our glaze together before we got started here today. It's got some ketchup and cocktail sauce, cider vinegar, worcestershire, brown sugar, little garlic powder, salt, and pepper. And put that right over the top. Don't necessarily use all of it. Now just take a fork or brush or whatever and just kind of get a nice layer of the glaze over the top. Just glaze the top with the glaze. Hence the name, Glaze. Because you glaze it. It's glazing. Oh, that's good. The loaf is glazed. Time for the oven. Gonna let that roll at 350 for about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, just so we get an internal temp of 160, 165. So it's all nice and tightened up and ready for slicing. See you back here in a little bit. We'll have some loaf. Time to pull that meatloaf out. Take a look at that sumbitch there, son. You're gonna set that off to the side there. Gonna give it about 12-15 minutes to rest and cool down. We'll come back, slice it, have ourselves a good bite. See you back here shortly. Time for the dismount and the slice. Oh yeah. That's a good looking meatloaf. Let's give it a good bite. Got ourselves a slice. Look, you can see the peppers hanging out in there, a little orange, a little yellow, and a little red. Got got that glaze on it. It's got a nice crust. Oh yeah. Good consistency. Oh, baby. That's perfect, man. The only thing this needs is a little gravy and some mashed potatoes on the side, or maybe some coleslaw, corn on the cob, cheese taters. I don't know. Maybe it don't need nothing. Oh, that's good. I used to think a meatloaf was hard. I'd tried recipes and I'd failed. And a lot of it was just reading too much and not putting enough into the feel. I talked about with the meat and the meatballs and everything. Sometimes you just feel it. And I think that's the best thing to do here is use your hands when it starts getting a little tight, but not too tight. You don't want it too tight. You want it just tight enough. That's when it's time to loaf it up. Like I said, there's a bunch of different ways you can do this. If you want to spice it up, use some chipotle sauce, maybe some jalapenos. Want to do something a little stranger, maybe an Asian flair, put some ginger and some soy in it. I don't know, man. It's your food. It's your mouth. Do it the way you want to. Thank you for stopping by and spending your time with us at the Hacienda here today. This has been Meatloaf Standard. I'm Ortega LaTrobe, and you've been snacking with Ortega.
How about a Fresca?